Hi, sorry, I'm here.
Hi, Max. It's Janet Walker. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for asking. So congratulations on a love song. I really enjoyed it. There are so many beautiful elements about the film, and it's also very intriguing and interesting. So I understand it all starts with a good script. So describe your inspiration and process.
Oh boy, this thing bubbles up out of all sorts of um, you know, all sides of the way love enters our lives and leaves it. My experiences with that and seeing those I love deal with that and falling in love myself and then listening to a lot of folk ballads and country fables and loving the place I live, but also missing what it used to be, wondering what it will be, and then picturing very specific things. I wrote this part for Dale Dickey. She's kind of right at the core of the conception of the idea. I wrote it for this lake and this campsite. So maybe having such specific images in my mind just gave a pathway for all these sort of obscure, obtuse ideas to be brought down into something modest and physical.
Okay. Well, that your answer really just leads into so many of my other questions. I'm going to just kind of bounce around here a bit. There are so many beautiful elements in the film. The lake, the mountain, the entire cinematography of it. So do you want to explain a little bit how that came into play in the script?
Well, um, I count myself very fortunate to live in a very beautiful place and a place that takes my breath away every every morning and night. And this was a story about recovery and healing and the beauty of things both small and large. So I wanted to be in a world that would allow that, and also I'm lucky to have a job that lets me choose where I want to be sometimes, and I'd rather be in a beautiful place. So um, yeah, I don't know, I guess.
Sure, I understand. Nature's very inspiring. I understand. So you did mention that you wrote Faye for Dale Dickey. So when you have that vision for a character in your writing, how did that play into the creation of the screenplay? Why
I
her, in fact?
I was so struck by her first in Winter's Bone and then seeing her in so many other places. Initially, just by the marvel of how true this actor felt. And that's a mysterious word, but I just believed knew her, or she could be my neighbor or someone who raised me. And she had such a powerful, lovely human presence on the screen. And maybe the biggest thing that did to the writing of the movie was give me the confidence to allow a lot of silence in the film, because I knew there was this master who could fill it and give the character a detailed past without it having to be said and explained. Um, so with that in mind, I um, um, wrote something more quietly than I would have been brave enough to do otherwise.
Wow, very nice. So tell me about the other. There were other obvious cast members. So tell me about the cast member or the casting process and West Studi. Were you involved in any of that?
Oh yeah, I started thinking about Wes early on as well. You know, you're picturing Dale Dickey on one side of the screen. There's not a lot of people who have the strength to share it with her, really. And Wes has also built this long, really noble history playing these tough characters so humanly, and that's something I admire so much and was honored to get to build off of. And I don't know, maybe we should all try to work with our friends and with our heroes, and the crew is all my friends, and a lot of the smaller characters are. And you know, Wes, that's a hero of mine, so what an honor to get to work with him and to have this pairing of him and Dale together.
Very nice. So there are these bursts of odd characters who show up, especially the cowhands uh, and and the other two women. So when you were writing that, especially, I know that you mentioned earlier about love that lasts and your inspiration for that. But how did you, when you were thinking about these characters, what was your inspiration?
Well, I've always found my life has been made richer by the oddballs and eccentrics who can be nourished and cherished in these backwoods places. Seemed only appropriate to pay some tribute to that. And on another level, you know, hardship and humor often come hand in hand. That's been my experience, at least.
Mm.
Things are rarely all sad or rarely all funny. They're often pretty mixed up. So that's the world, and that's the moment of the character, and this was a way to allow some of the smiles through the tears in what the character is going through.
Hmm. So what would you like the viewer to take from those hidden messages? The when I say the odd characters, not the overarching theme.
Um, I don't know. I mean, I hope overall the film emboldens people in some modest little way in hours or days or weeks following it to see a little extra beauty in small things or a little extra joy in strange characters. There's uh, God, there's so much beauty and lovely people all around us all the time. If it's just a few extra seconds of appreciating that, that would be more than enough for me.
Great, thanks. So tell me about the filmmaking process from casting to completion or idea from beginning to end. How long?
Um, well, I'd had the idea in my head for several years, but didn't put pen to paper until the spring of 2020. And then we were shooting by September of 2020. So just a few months later, and the movie was finished less than a year after that. So what is that? I don't know, call it a year and a half
Sure.
from writing to finishing, and then that in turn was almost a year ago. So you had the time of the festivals, the distribution, you know, Bleecker, and it's done a great job building the strategy for the movie. So it's a patient process, but one that went relatively fast.
Yeah, and it looked like a pandemic. It looked like something that I would have thought that it was filmed in the pandemic, and you did a great job with that. So what surprised you most about making this project?
Like the great lesson I choose to take from it is I I would never have known I could have made such a small movie with such a small group of my friends, and that it would kind of travel the world and mean something to people in so many different places. I would have always wanted to believe that, and wanted to believe that if we try to be honest enough about anything particular enough, it somehow does grow and become universal. but I didn't know it until now, and that's been like a really lovely lesson to take.
Mm. So what was your most memorable moment of the entire process?
The last day of shooting is something I'll never forget. That's the day we shot the scene climbing up and down the mountain, and we shot our way up it and shot sunset up at the top, and then all walked down in the dark, and at some point stopped and lay on the earth and looked at the stars, and you know, began to say goodbye to each other before slipping back off into an unstable world. But that was one of the great moments of my life.
Wow. And so what's next for you?
I don't know specifically, but I do hope to be able to keep telling modest stories at home where I like to be with my friends who I like to work with. I'll try to do that as long as they let me.
Oh, well, um, and that's great. Max, thank you so much. A love song is beautiful with so many interesting moments and elements to it. And congratulations on, making a film during the pandemic that turned out so well. A
Oh,
new pandemic
thank you.
story. So
Thank you, Janet. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
you're more than welcome and have a great day.
Thank you. You as well.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.